Chapter 431. Leaving behind Baron Kyold, who appeared more lively than ever, Ydir followed Kishir outside. Ever and Kana were engrossed in a passionate conversation about the mysterious magic hidden within the Mage's study, but hardly any of their words registered in Ydir's mind. He responded in brief when directly questioned, preoccupied with contemplating the new information he'd gathered. I thought there was no connection between the research of the first Duke of Tain and that of Luma, but perhaps I was mistaken. The diary entries that Kishir had deciphered were cryptic, difficult to immediately understand. However, the terms like the accursed beings and time caught his attention distinctly. The accursed beings must refer to the monsters he researched. If we can find out where these monsters came from, the time itself could become an ally. Is this not very ominous? Both Baron Kyold and Kishir found these ideas absurd, but Ydir couldn't bring himself to agree. He knew the kind of research Luma had conducted. He himself was someone who had genuinely traveled back in time. If an archmage like Luma had conducted research on something seemingly impossible, it meant he had a reason to believe it was possible. Had there been others before Ydir who had also traveled back in time? Did Luma and the first Duke of Tain engage in their research concerning time because they had witnessed such an occurrence? If their research had indeed made reversing time possible, what would Luma have intended to accomplish? Ydir cast a fleeting glance at the worn book in Kishir's hand. He was immensely curious about its contents, but could not think of a good excuse for someone of his ignorance to ask to see it. If only Enon were here, he could read it. As he pondered, Ydir met the gaze of Kishir's red eyes, which had been watching him. How long has he been watching me? Before Ydir could blink, Kishir calmly initiated conversation. Are you interested in this diary? You have been staring at it. Kishir had looked at him the same way when Ydir had been too lost in thought to respond immediately after hearing the diary's contents. Those eyes that seemed to penetrate the unknown, even when their owner had no concrete information, intrigued him. Kishir asked Ydir nothing, despite the many anomalies about him. Yet, that only made Kishir all the more vigilant, unwilling to miss even the slightest fragment of information. It wasn't suspicion per se. Underneath that scrutiny and patience was a complex web of enormous trust and fervent passion. Even now, as he grappled with complicated feelings about Emperor Kelusa, Kishir's focus remained steadfastly on Ydir. Certain of this, Ydir quietly exhaled. No, I just found it fascinating for a moment. Is that so? If your interest grows, feel free to speak up. This reply clearly signaled that Kishir had noticed Ydir's peculiar reaction to the diary. It was easy to say he was interested, but what followed wouldn't be as simple. Acting carelessly in front of a man so perceptive could unintentionally reveal secrets best left hidden. Secrets. Ydir knew the kind of danger and agony his secrets held. People like Enon, who had always seemed mysterious even before Ydir knew he wasn't human, would likely react differently if they discovered those secrets. If the reaction I receive is as absurd as the contents of the diary from a long dead first Duke Tain, I would consider myself fortunate. Being labeled a liar was not new to him. Neither was being accused of cheating, nor bearing the burnt of unadulterated hatred. But what about Kishir? Until recently, Ydir had been able to do his own thing, resting assured in the quiet trust Kishir seemed to offer. Maintaining secrets and handling the corresponding responsibilities hadn't seemed all that difficult. Ydir had no doubt that whatever great endeavors Kishir had in the future would render his own secrets irrelevant. In his past life, they were neither close friends nor bitter enemies, so Yudir felt no obligation to disclose anything. But now, why did it feel so complicated? No, I already know why. It was because he knew that Kishir had already opened every door for Yudir. It was because Kishir had said he would willingly endure all the pain he felt for Yudir's sake. It was because when Kishir had embraced Yudir as he flew into the balcony, he smiled as if he had taken the whole world into his arms. But knowing this also magnified the internal conflict that had been nurtured by indecision. It was a vague wavering Yudir had never felt before in his life. It was a sensation akin to the fear he felt the first time he realized he was powerless in the face of a monster. Before boarding the carriage to return, Yudir looked around at the others and opened his mouth. Would it be possible for me to get off halfway? Why? Kishir questioned. I remembered that there is a small monster I want to check on. Though one of the main purposes was to meet Anon, it was also true that he had intended to see the creature called Pethumet for tomorrow's plans. Kana gave him a puzzled look at the sudden request, but Yudir couldn't explain. Kishir, who had been gazing at Yudir with a thoughtful expression, soon nodded to grant permission. All right, go ahead. After boarding the carriage, Kishir briefly told Kana about where Pethumet was locked and who had been observing the monster. Kana was impressed by the medicine extracted from researching Pethumet, which had played a crucial role in Yudir's recovery. So that's how it is. The letter I received was rather vague, so I wasn't sure what had happened. So, will the two of you be returning once this is over? I can't say for certain. I have actually been considering postponing dealing with that monster due to this whole situation. Is that so? This was news to Yudir as well. He had assumed that they would take care of Pethumet before leaving, once everything was settled. Hellam said finding a subject as useful for study as this is almost a miracle. It's unwise to leave any uncertainty that might cause issues in the future. The way Kishir looked at Yudir as he said issues made it abundantly clear who he considered the subject to be. It seemed Kishir had started to think that even if Yudir was fully healed now, unforeseeable issues could arise at any moment. Having no counter argument, Yudir remained silent. In that case, Commander, may I accompany Yudir as well? Kana jumped in, her voice upbeat. I have almost finished all the work I had before coming here. I would like to examine that monster after such a long time. Very well, Kishir readily agreed again. In the end, Yudir had to get off near the house where Mick and Hellam stayed, accompanied by Kana. Ah, is this the place? It looks like such an ordinary house. No one would ever think that monster research happens here. Leaving Kana behind, who shared a similar sentiment to Yudir at some point, a knock on the door was promptly followed by the creaking open. Upon seeing Yudir, Mick Shuden immediately let his guard down, breaking into a wide smile and spreading his arms. Ah, the assistant. I heard you have recovered, but it's great to finally see you. What brings you here at this hour? I apologize if I have interrupted your rest. I have come unexpectedly, but I would like to see the monster for a moment. Rest? I was actually drinking with my grandmother and the pharmacist. Please come in. Who's the person behind you? Her name is Kana Wand. She's the Jung Division Deputy Commander of the Cavalry. Ah, I'm Mick Shuden. Nice to meet you. Exchanging a light handshake with Kana, Mick scanned her face briefly while smiling. Indeed, someone at the rank of Deputy Commander does stand out. Is that so? Thank you for the compliment. It's not a compliment, it's the truth. You seem quite exceptional yourself, Mr. Mick. Both Mick and Kana seemed to feel something from each other the moment their hands met. But as their intentions didn't appear to be ill, either secretly moved past them and entered. Just as Mick had mentioned, bottles of alcohol was littered across the table, where Enon had been sharing drinks with Helen. On seeing either, Enon's eyes narrowed suspiciously. What now? Is something else wrong? I have only come to see the monster. Though it was difficult to mention any other objectives, Enon's eyes grew even more skeptical. Seeing this, Helen greeted Yuther with a chuckle, holding her drink. It's been a while. You look healthy, and that's a relief. I apologize for the delay in expressing my gratitude. Oh, don't mention it. The right credit goes to our pharmacist here. Mick and I didn't provide much help. At that moment, Kana and Mick entered, momentarily halting their conversation.